Good morning, everybody. Pot's coming at you here this morning with Devoted Sportsman. I just wanted to take a minute and talk about something that's been on my mind ever since the hunting season has opened. I really didn't know how to approach it until thanks to Brother Jim Lewis. He covered for Brother Chase Wednesday night, and he talked about the tools that the devil uses to separate us from Christ. And I can relate to that very well, being a sportsman. And a lot of times the devil will use hunting to separate us from Christ on Sundays, on Wednesday evenings. You know, any opportunity he gets, he will use that tool. And the reason it's been on my mind is that first Sunday morning of that opening weekend, I'm a member of our worship team, and standing up in the choir loft looking back out into our congregation, I just see so many mothers there with children by themselves. And that hit hard on myself because at one time, and still sometimes I do it, but that was every Sunday morning for my wife and my kids. And as my son grew older and loved to hunt, he fought back with his mama because he'd rather go hunting with myself instead of going to church with her. You know, and when I decided to dedicate my life to Christ, well, that's when I put Sundays was a time to go to church and be with the Lord. Sunday's a day of rest, you know. And as soon as I made that my priority, well, my son, he hasn't even fought against us at one bit. He followed right in. He made it as his priority. So, dads, what I'm saying is, your kids are watching you. They gonna do, especially young boys. They gonna want to get out there and they gonna want to follow in dad's footsteps, and they gonna want to do exactly what daddy's doing. And one of those tools he talked about the devil used is a wood splitting wedge. And how that's used is it's inserted into a block of wood, and it's hit with a hammer over and over and over until it gets deeper and deeper. And when it gets so deep, the block can't help but split half in two. So what the devil is doing is he's using hunting and fishing as a wedge to drive between us and Christ every time we let him. Once we let him insert that wedge in there, every time we miss, he hits it with a hammer. It drives it deeper in, and it just makes it easier every time. The more you miss, the deeper he drives that wedge, the easier it is to miss the next Sunday. And your kids, they watching that. They want to do what daddy wants to do. And we gotta be the leaders of our household. Yeah, I'm saying we need to get up. We need to go to church on Sunday mornings and take our kids and our wives and be there with them and worship with them. Don't only just be there in a pew listening. Worship with them. And in everyday life, when we become Christians, we got to learn how to be the tool that doesn't drive that wedge. If we're not careful, we can be the hammer that the devil is using to drive that wedge deeper in there between someone else and Christ. If they see us going hunting instead of going to church, especially a new believer, a young follower of Christ, well, they going, well, that's okay, you know, that's he can do it, you know, I can do it too. We got to learn not to be that hammer that's driving that wedge. Instead, we got to learn how to be the tool that's backing that wedge out. And that's what's Oh, I'm saying there is it even tells us in the Bible that if you see a fellow follower falling off to the wayside, you need to call him out. And what I mean is if you see somebody doing wrong, things they shouldn't be doing, pull them aside, bring it to light to them. You don't have to do it in a way that it's ugly or anything, but we just got to learn how to approach things and be that tool that's backing that wedge out. Every time the devil hits it, we need to back it out 2 licks against his 1. And this is as much for myself as anybody else that listens to it. I'm not perfect. And I just ask that we all hold one another accountable in our daily actions. And with that being said, until next time, just know Jesus loves you.